Hello, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. My name is Simran, and today I'm joined by Rajinder and Charu. So, in this podcast episode, we are examining a pressing and complex issue in early childhood education, that is, the increasing number of early childhood educators leaving the profession. So, across multiple countries, the early learning sector is experiencing significant workforce instability. However, today we will focus particular on Ontario, where educator shortage have become increasingly urgent due to the expansion of Canada-wide $10 a day childcare program. So, a recent report by CBS News highlight that basically Ontario needs around 8,500 more educators because of childcare expansion. So, despite commitments to increase childcare spaces, many centers cannot operate at fully capacity due to insufficient staffing. So, this issue goes beyond simple job turnover. It raises questions about workforce sustainability, professional recognition, gender equity, economical policy, and child development. So basically, in this podcast, we will discuss examine current workforce data, analysis why educators are leaving, what's the reason behind it, discuss the impact on children and families about this issue, and consider multiple perspectives and explore potential solutions. So, to begin, I will now invite Rajinder to help us understand what is currently happening in the sector on the broader scale.
Um, Thank you, Simran. Um, research consistently shows that early childhood education systems are facing serious workforce shortage globally. Um, However, Ontario presents a particular important case because of its rapid childcare expansion under the federal agreement. According to reporting from CBC News, Ontario must recruit thousands of additional registered early childhood educators in order to meet its commitment to create new licensed childcare spaces. So they are planning for a better future for all of us. The challenge is that growth has not kept pace with policy expansion. In fact, some childcare center reports having physical classroom space already, but being unable to open rooms because they don't meet required staff ratios. So the ratio is the biggest problem right now. This demonstrates a critical gap between policy ambition and workforce reality. This issue is not isolated in Ontario. The Federal Reserve Bank of Cleveland found that the childcare workers in United States experience significantly higher turnover rates than many other professions. Similarly, the Michel Institute has reported educator shortage in Australia. So in both way, they are struggling with the same problem. On the other side, if we are talking about Ontario's situation, it is intensified by scale of childcare expansion under the government of Canada early learning agreement. Um, from my placement experience, I observed how turnover affect daily classroom functioning. Um, Within a single academic year, many educators left the center. This created frequent reliance on supply staff. So, like, the staff ratio is fluctuating every single day. While supply educators provided necessary support, children struggled with the inconsistency. The team communication was also disrupted, and the program planning required repeated adjustments. So that's how we are struggling with inconsistency and other problems every single day. This confirms what research suggests High turnover does not only affect administrative structure, it also give the effects on stability and the program continuity. Charu, could you please help me to understand why educators are choosing to leave the profession?
Um, Thank you so much to passing the another topic on me. Uh, so the educators are leaving. This is the biggest concern in my opinion. One of the most significant factor is the compensation. So as you discussed about the CBC news, many registered early childhood educators in Ontario faces a problem with their wages because their responsibilities are much high as comparative to their wages. As you mentioned, their wages are very low. Although wages enhancement grants exist, many educators still earn considerably less than the elementary schools teachers. So they are not fundamentally supporting by the foundational developmental learning, which is the biggest crisis. So this creates a financial strain for them, particularly in high cost regions. For example, Toronto and the Greater Toronto areas. A peer reviewed study published in Early Childhood Education Journal, they found that low wages is the one of the most strongest predictor of the turnover intentions among the ECEs. This study also emphasizes on the educators like they are deeply committed to the children well-being, financial insecurity, and which automatically outweigh vocational passions. The second one is like the burnout is the another major contributor. So educators should manage curriculum planning, behavior guidance, documentation assessments. Family communication is the biggest concern in it, and the emotional support and the regulatory compliance. This workload automatically intensified during the COVID 19 pandemic, when educators were considered essential workers but did not receive uh, proportional recognition or compensation regardless of their high duties. During my placement, I observed educators they are staying so long at their jobs and do a lot of documentation works. They put their 100% efforts in their duties. They are so admirable and dedications. Instead that they get exhausted while doing their jobs, they put a lot of time. But the thing is, they do emotional labor without any adequate structural support. That automatically hinders the professional burnouts. So, Simran, could you know like to connect these workforce challenges to their developmental impact on the children and the families? What do you think about it?
Sure, thank you, Charu. So, from development perspectives, educator turnover has serious implications. So, I learned from attachment theory, which emphasizes that young children form secure emotional bonds with consistent caregivers. So, these stable relationships support emotional regulation, language development, and social competence. So, I believe that when educators leave frequently, children must repeatedly rebuild trust. This can lead to temporary withdrawal, increased anxiety, or behavior regressions. So, I want to share my own experience during my placement. During my placement, I worked with a child who had a form a strong bond with one educator, and when that educator left, the child became noticeably quieter and hesitate during group activities. So so it took several weeks to re-establish a sense of comfort and security. So frequent staff changes can also affect classroom routines. How? Because predictability is essential for young children. Even subtle changes in tone, expectations or transition strategies can increase stress, particularly for children with additional support needs. So it not only affect children, it also give impact on families as well. So families are also significantly impacted when educators leaves, because when childcare centers cannot operate a full capacity due to staffing shortages, wait list grow longer. So some parents may delay returning to work or reduce employment hours. So all this information demonstrate that the educator shortage is not only pedagogical issue, it's an economic and gender equity issue. So now I'm going to ask Rajinder, could you help us examine different perspectives on this crisis?
Thank you, Simran. Um, Let me just explain the multiple perspective from my side. Certainly, some scholars argue that high turnover reflects systemic under evaluation of early childhood education, because uh, the sector is predominantly female, which disparities may reflect broader gender based labor inequities. From this perspective, educators leaving the profession are not failing the system. The system has failed the adequate support them. Like, actually, in other words, the system is not contributing. Um, I think my friend Charu, she can explain it better. How about you, Charu? Like, would you like to add something in it?
Um, in my opinion, I think that nowadays political urgency is at a peak rate because there is a shortages of the workforce. The visibility of the staffing crisis has sparked national discussions about the wage grids, benefits, and the professional recognition. In some provinces of Ontario, structured wage frameworks are being introduced, which is need to be stabilized and contributed in the workforce. This suggests that the crisis can function as a catalyst for reform. So, could you please elaborate more, Simran?
Yeah, sure. I totally agree with your concern. So, from my perspective, balancing these perspectives reveals complexity. So, I think expanding childcare spaces without stabilizing the workforce may compromise quality. So, on the other hand, public awareness of shortages may also increase advocacy, or as well as long term structure investments. So now we wanna add some possible solution in it. So I wanna ask you, Charu, can you share your solution, one of the solution of the on this issue?
Yeah, sure. There are plethora of solutions, out of which one I am going to explain is about the policy level solution, which include establishing province-wide wage grids, improving benefits and pensions, and increasing funding rates for the workforce who are working in the childcare centers. Moreover, the government of Ontario introduced that tuition grants and the wage enhancement initiatives, but retention strategists must go beyond recruitment. The further solutions are, I think so, Rajinder, you can explain.
Oh, thank you, Charu. Um, at the Actually, at the organizational level, supportive leadership is critical. A good leader can manage everything. Mentorship programs, collaborative planning time, and realistic workload expectation can reduce burnout. During placement, we observed that centers with strong communication practices and shared decision making reported high staff morale. How about you, Simran? What are you thinking about it?
So I believe that additionally, strengthening professional identity is essential to solve this issue. So, for example, when educators are recognized as skilled professionals rather than informed caregivers or so I believe that education are recognized as skilled profession rather than informed caregivers, which improves retentions. So on the moreover, public education campaigns, inclusion is policy discussions, and particularly conversations contribute to this recognitions. So, before concluding, I would like to offer a critical reflections. So, during the pandemic, early childhood educators were described as essentials. On the other hand, essential status did not consistently translate into long term structural investment. So, this contradiction reveals a gap between social, rhetoric, or policy actions. So, in early childhood education is foundation to lifelong learning and economic participations. So, then workforce sustainability must be prioritized. That's my opinion. So otherwise, expansion policies risk being symbolic rather than transformative. So now I wanna add to that. To wrap up this, the departure of early childhood educator represent a serious, complex crisis. So, moreover, Ontario requires thousands of additional educators to meet childcare expansion goals that I mentioned it before. So, yet low wages, burnout, and limited professional recognitions, these are the main reasons behind why educators are leaving, which continue to drive many educators out of the field. So this the impact goes far beyond staffing shortages. So it doesn't stick on these issues. It also goes far beyond staffing shortages. It affects children emotional security, program quality. It also affect on family trust and even broaden economical participations. So Rajinder, do you want to add to that?
Yes, of course, I do actually. As we discussed, this issue reflect larger structural challenges with early childhood system. Expanding childcare spaces without stabilizing the workforce may weaken the quality and sustainability of the programs. At the same time, the current shortage has brought national attention to the profession, um, creating an opportunity for meaning reform. So maybe they can provide us new opportunities where we can enhance our skill, we can work for childcare, and we can work collaboratively with our team members, right?
That's true.
So I think I need Charu's opinion right now.
Ah, yeah, thank you so much. Uh, According to my opinion, I think so. Respect is a lot in the education of early childhood educators. Like they they are equal. Like if we respect the educators, it automatically leads to the respect of early childhood education program. So, sustainable funding, fair compensation, supportive leadership, and professional respect are essential for building a stable and high quality learning system. Would you like to finalize?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rajinder and Charu, for sharing your own deep understanding on this issue. So now I want to say that thank you so much for listening to our podcast, and we hope this discussion encourages continued advocacy for the early childhood workforce and give you a deep understanding on this issue. Thank you so much again, and have a great day.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.